I always believed that betrayal announces itself long before it happens. A look that lasts a second too long, an answer that comes a bit too fast, a smile that doesn't belong to you anymore. But when my turn came, I ignored every warning. Maybe because I didn't want to see it. Maybe because I thought I didn't have to fear the woman I loved for 8 years. Or maybe because, deep down, I already knew something was breaking, and I hoped pretending would stop it. Her name is Anna, and if you asked me a year ago what she meant to me, I would have said everything. My entire world compressed into one person. 8 years together, 5 years living under one roof, 2 years of talking about getting married when we figure out the timing. I worked, she studied, we struggled, we made it through. At least I thought we did, but the first crack appeared on a Tuesday. I remember it with absurd clarity. The smell of burnt coffee, the half-open curtains. Her hair tied messily because she woke up late. She said she had a group meeting at the university, something about preparing a project presentation. She rushed more than usual, barely touched her breakfast, and kissed me as if her lips were already somewhere else. "I'll be back late," she said. "Why?" I asked. "Group work. You know how it is." Except I did know because I'd seen her schedule on the fridge. There was no group meeting. I didn't confront her. Maybe because I didn't want to start a fight at 8 in the morning. Maybe because I still trusted her. Or maybe because the fear blooming inside me was easier to smother than to acknowledge. She came home at 10:40 p.m., not exhausted, not irritated, not hungry, just strangely calm, almost glowing. When she hugged me, she smelled like a different perfume, not hers. Still, I stayed silent. That was my first mistake. The second crack came 3 days later. I found her phone buzzing on the couch while she was showering. Normally, I never touched her phone. We shared everything, except passwords, not because we were hiding something, but because we never needed them. But this time the phone vibrated nonstop, message after message from someone saved as D. Just a letter, nothing else. The preview showed, "When can I see you again?" Not a classmate, not a friend, no emoji, no tone indicators, just that one simple, direct question. My heart sank into my stomach. My hand shook, not from anger, not yet, but from something colder, a fear that felt like standing in a room where the walls are slowly closing in, and you're the only one who notices. I didn't open the message. I didn't need to. I heard her footsteps leaving the bathroom, and I put the phone back exactly as I found it. Pretending again, I asked her casually, "How was your day?" She smiled, too easily. "Long, tiring, you know how it is." And I nodded, even though I didn't know anything anymore. The third crack, the one that finally split something inside me, appeared the next weekend. She left in the afternoon, wearing makeup she usually reserved for nights out. She said she was meeting her friend Diana, something about girl talk. But Diana had moved abroad 2 months ago. I knew because I helped carry her suitcases when she left. Still, I said nothing. I just watched her leave, knowing she was lying, wondering when she became so good at it. The hours dragged. I tried to distract myself, cleaning, cooking, scrolling through endless feeds on my phone, reading the same sentence in a book 20 times without understanding a single word. Each minute stretched like rubber about to snap. At 7:13 p.m., I received a message from her. "Don't wait for me. I might stay over." Stay over where? With whom? Why? I typed a dozen responses, deleted every one, then finally wrote, "Okay, be safe. Be safe. Be safe while you're with someone else. Be safe while you destroy me." Pathetic. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, the clock ticking so loud it felt like a hammer against my skull. I stared at the front door as if it owed me an explanation. She came home the next morning at 6:22, quietly, softly, like someone entering a stranger's house. Her clothes were different from the ones she wore when she left. Her hair messy, her lipstick gone. She froze when she saw me awake on the couch. "You're up early," she said. "I never went to sleep." She swallowed hard. "Why? Is something wrong?" I could have said everything. I could have exploded, shouted, demanded the truth. But 8 years of love has a strange power. It makes you gentle when you should be cruel, patient when you should end things, blind when the truth is staring you in the face. So I asked the single stupidest question I've ever said. Did you have a good time? She hesitated, too long, then nodded. Yes. I heard the crack inside me widen, splintering deeper. That day I finally did something I shouldn't have done, something necessary. When she fell asleep after a shower, I opened her phone. The first time in 8 years. The password was the same as always. She never suspected I would check. The messages were there, hundreds of them. From him. His name wasn't D. His actual name was Dennis. I scrolled, every word carving itself into my chest. I wish I could wake up next to you again. He doesn't appreciate you the way I do. Last night was perfect. When are you going to tell him? Tell me what? Tell me that the life I built was already gone. Tell me that she chose someone else while still sleeping in my bed. Tell me that everything I believed in was a lie. The worst message was from her. Soon. I just need the right moment. The right moment to destroy me. I don't know how long I sat there staring at those messages. Minutes, maybe hours. My heart wasn't beating normally anymore. It was pulsing with something between rage and grief, something that felt like bleeding without a wound. When she woke up, she saw me holding her phone. Her face turned pale instantly. You went through my phone, she whispered. That's what you care about. I asked, not what I found. She didn't answer. That silence was louder than any confession. I stood up. She tried to reach for me, but I stepped back. Who is he? I asked. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound. Tell me, I repeated, my voice shaking. Who the hell is he? A classmate, she finally whispered. I laughed, a bitter, broken sound. A classmate. That's what you call the man you spent the night with. Tears filled her eyes. It's not what you think. Then what is it, Anna? I cut her off. Because from what I read it looks exactly like what I think. She crumbled onto the floor crying, shaking, covering her face with her hands. Maybe she thought crying would save her. Maybe it worked before, but not that day. I felt nothing watching her cry. Not anger, not pity, not sadness. Just emptiness. A numbness so deep it scared me. She whispered, I didn't mean to hurt you. You did it anyway. I'm sorry. You're not sorry, I said coldly. You're sorry you got caught. She sobbed harder, but her tears couldn't glue the cracks back together. The truth was already out, and some things can't be undone. That morning, without shouting, without slamming doors, without dramatic scenes, I said the words that marked the real beginning of the end. Pack your things. She looked up at me, horrified. Please, don't do this. You already did, I replied. 8 years, Anna, and you ended it for someone whose name you saved as one letter. She grabbed my hand, but I pulled away. For the first time in 8 years, her touch felt wrong. I spent the next days pretending everything was normal. Pretending I didn't notice how her phone never left her hand. Pretending I didn't hear the muted vibration the moment I walked out of the room. Pretending the scent of a man's cologne on her jacket was from the store. Pretending I didn't care. But the truth was simple. I cared enough to feel the rot spreading inside me. I kept replaying every moment from that night, the one I told myself I misunderstood. But the more I forced myself to believe her explanations, the more the cracks grew. My mind kept circling back to the same questions, ones she should have answered easily but somehow didn't. Why did her voice shift whenever I entered the room? Why did she keep her bag zipped even at home? Why did she turn away from me when texting, as if my presence suddenly became poison? I told myself I needed proof, not suspicions, not feelings proof, because feelings can lie, but facts don't. Single quotes. On Thursday night, she said she was meeting her coworkers for a quick drink. She said it casually, too casually, like she'd rehearsed it. I watched her get ready. She did her makeup like she was meeting someone important. She changed her blouse twice. She put on perfume she usually saved for special occasions. She didn't notice how quiet I became. She didn't even look at me. "Don't wait up," she said. "It might be late." That was the moment something in me clicked. Not broke, clicked. Like a switch flipping into a mode I didn't know I had. I nodded, kissed her cheek, then watched her walk out the door with the confidence of someone who believed they were untouchable. The moment it closed behind her, I grabbed my keys. I didn't follow her immediately. I waited 10 minutes so she wouldn't spot my car. Then I drove toward the bar she mentioned, the one she always went to with coworkers. I parked at a distance, turned off the engine, and waited. She never showed. I wasn't surprised, but the confirmation still hit like a punch. I checked the time. 26 minutes had passed. She couldn't be stuck in traffic. The roads were clear. She didn't answer my texts. Then I remembered something. Last week she had left her tablet at home, and her messages synced automatically. I drove back home fast, my mind racing, heart pounding loud enough to feel in my throat. If I was wrong, I'd feel like a paranoid idiot. If I was right, I didn't know what I'd do. I unlocked the door and went straight to the living room. The tablet was still on the shelf. I tapped the screen. It unlocked without a password. She never thought she needed one. Messages flooded in instantly. The first name I saw was a man's, a name I'd never heard in my life. Him. "I'm leaving now. Don't keep me waiting this time." Her. "I won't. Same place as last week." "He thinks I'm at the bar." My stomach tightened so sharply, I had to grip the edge of the table. My breathing went uneven, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the tablet. I scrolled up. The truth hit me like a slow-burning fire spreading through my chest. Their messages weren't innocent. They weren't even flirtatious. They were explicit, detailed, confident, familiar. They'd been meeting for over a month. She'd told him things she never told me, sent him pictures she never sent me, promised him things she once promised only me. The worst part wasn't even the betrayal, it was how effortlessly she'd played both roles. Loving girlfriend at home, someone else entirely outside it. My pulse hammered in my ears. My vision blurred for a moment. I wasn't shocked, I was humiliated. And once humiliation sets in, something hardens inside you. I checked the most recent messages. Her. "Traffic is clear tonight. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Enough time for me to reach wherever there was." She didn't delete the location history. She never had any reason to. I opened her map history. The address nearly made me laugh. A cheap hotel on the outskirts of the city. Not even discreet, not even smart. I grabbed my keys again. At that point I wasn't thinking. I wasn't planning revenge. I wasn't imagining scenes or confrontation. I wasn't even angry. I felt nothing, just a cold, heavy clarity that drowned everything else out. I arrived at the hotel in under 15 minutes. Her car was already there. I parked out of view, stepped out, and walked toward the entrance. My heartbeat was steady now, too steady. I wasn't there to cause a scene. I wasn't there to break anything. I wasn't even sure why I was there. Maybe I needed to see it with my own eyes. Maybe I needed the final nail so I could bury whatever we had without a shred of doubt. Maybe I needed the truth to become undeniable. The receptionist barely looked at me. People come and go there every night. I checked the elevator. She wasn't in it. I walked up the stairs. Second floor. Room 214. The number burned into my brain from their messages. I didn't knock. I didn't breathe. I just slowly turned the handle. It wasn't locked. The sound I heard first wasn't voices, it was the rhythm of movement, intimate, familiar, undeniable. That was the exact second my old life ended. But I didn't enter. I didn't shout. I didn't tear anything apart. I simply closed the door and walked away. Not because it didn't hurt. It hurt more than anything had ever hurt. But because I realized something she never expected. She didn't deserve my rage. She didn't deserve my pain. She didn't deserve even a second more of the man she betrayed. As I stepped outside, into the cold night air, I exhaled the last illusion I ever had about her. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to calm. I've always believed the worst kind of pain isn't the one that hits like a sudden strike. It's the one that settles quietly, crawling into the spaces you didn't know existed. The kind that doesn't scream, but whispers. The kind that doesn't break you instantly, but slowly rearranges the shape of your mind. That's the kind of pain I woke up with every single morning after discovering the truth, or, more accurately, after discovering pieces of it. Because the full truth was still hiding somewhere between her half-smiles, her unexpected kindness, her sudden distance, her suspicious calmness, and the silence. God, the silence was the loudest part. Ever since I confronted Emma about that night, things changed in a way I didn't expect. She didn't cry. She didn't break down. She didn't fight back. She simply shut down, almost like someone pressed a switch inside her. That was when I realized she wasn't afraid of losing me. She was afraid of something else entirely, something I hadn't seen yet, and that was enough to pull me deeper into the dark. The third morning after the confrontation, I found her sitting in the kitchen, dressed too nicely for breakfast, makeup done, hair smooth, hands trembling so slightly she'd probably thought I wouldn't notice. I noticed everything. Morning, she murmured without looking at me. "Where are you going?" I asked. "A meeting. You told me last night you had the day off." She froze for just a second, just a fragment of a second, then calmly lifted her cup to her lips. "I forgot. They called late." Lie, clean, smooth, almost flawless. Almost. I sat down across from her. The distance between us felt like a canyon. "What meeting?" I pushed. "Just work, Daniel." "Why are you acting like this?" "Because your stories don't match," I replied. "And I'm tired of pretending they do." She finally looked at me then, and for the first time, her eyes weren't defensive. They were terrified. Not guilty. Terrified. It was in that moment I understood something important. This wasn't just infidelity. There was something else. Something bigger. Something she was hiding that had nothing to do with love or betrayal, but everything to do with fear. She left the house 20 minutes later. I waited another 10, then followed, not because I wanted to stalk her. I was past the point of jealousy-driven tracking. What I wanted now was truth. I needed to know what the hell she'd pulled me into. Maybe I wanted closure. Maybe I wanted revenge. Maybe I just wanted to understand the person sleeping next to me for the past 3 years. Whatever the reason was, it pushed me behind the wheel. She drove across town, not toward her office, but toward a smaller district I'd never known she visited. She'd parked near a gray building with a faded sign. No name, no logo, just a locked door with a keypad. I watched from a distance. Emma punched in a code. The door opened. She disappeared inside. I waited. 35 minutes passed before someone else arrived, a man in a dark coat. Not the same guy I had seen in the hotel. Someone older, harder. His posture alone radiated cold authority. He walked with purpose, no hesitation, like he belonged there. And when he reached the door, he entered the same code she had. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a secret affair meet-up point. This wasn't a hotel. This wasn't a friend's place. This wasn't work. It was something else entirely. A facility. A private one. A controlled access building. And Emma had clearance. My stomach tightened. What the hell was she involved in? I waited until she came out. An hour later. Her steps were sharp, fast, almost frantic. She looked over her shoulder twice. Then 3 times. I had seen guilt before. I had seen panic before. But this was fear mixed with urgency. She wasn't trying to hide from me. She was trying to escape something else. I could have driven home. I could have stayed behind. I could have forgotten the whole thing. But no, I followed her. Whatever this was, whatever lie she had built, I needed to tear it open. She drove to a park on the edge of the city. A quiet place. Empty. She sat on a bench, pulled her phone out, typed something quickly, then deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Her hands were shaking. I wanted to approach her, I wanted to ask her what was happening. I wanted to understand why she looked like she might fall apart at any second. But before I could even open the door of my car, she stood up and moved deeper into the park, alone, fast, like she didn't want anyone to see her. So I followed. Every step felt heavy. Every tree felt too quiet. Every breath felt wrong. Then she stopped, and I saw why. Man was waiting for her. Not the same man from the hotel, not the man from the facility. Someone new. Someone I'd never seen before, younger, nervous, wearing a hoodie pulled low. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I didn't need to. Their body language told me enough. She wasn't cheating. Not this time. This was something else. Something secretive. Something dangerous. Something that made her eyes dart around like she expected someone to be watching. They exchanged something, a small black envelope. Not money. Not a letter. Something thicker. She stuffed it into her coat, nodded, turned around, and walked away so fast she almost tripped. When she was gone, the man stayed for a moment, looked around, then left in the opposite direction. I didn't follow him. I followed her. And in that moment, a new realization settled into my bones. This wasn't about betrayal anymore. This was about survival. Hers, and now unwillingly mine. When she returned home, I pretended I had just woken up from a nap. She acted normal, cooked dinner, asked about my day, kissed my cheek, but the panic behind her eyes, it was impossible to ignore now. At 11:47 p.m., when she thought I was asleep, she slipped out of bed, quietly, slowly, carefully. She grabbed her coat, her phone, her wallet, and the black envelope. I let her leave, waited 5 minutes, then followed. She didn't go far this time, just 2 blocks away to an abandoned bus stop. She sat down, looked around, then opened the envelope. Inside were documents, papers thick with text, seals, stamps, something official, government-level official. She scanned through them fast, almost desperate. Then she pulled out her phone, typed a message, and hesitated for a long, long moment before hitting send, and then she cried. Not softly, not quietly, but silently, shaking, like her entire world was collapsing in real time. I had never seen her cry like that. And here comes the part that haunts me the most. I didn't step forward. I didn't ask what was wrong. I didn't comfort her. I just watched, because something inside me told me that whatever she was crying over was bigger than me, bigger than our relationship, bigger than the infidelity, bigger than any betrayal. I watched her tuck the documents back into the envelope, press her hands against her face to force herself to stop crying, and walked back home like nothing happened. I waited until she turned the corner. Then I went to the bench, and there, lying in the shadows where she had dropped it without noticing, was a small folded paper. I picked it up, opened it, and saw 3 words that changed everything. 3 words written in her handwriting. 3 words that made my blood freeze. I didn't sleep the night before everything ended. I didn't even try. I stayed in the living room, sitting in the same chair where I had first realized my life was splitting apart. The house felt colder than usual, as if it already knew the truth I was finally ready to face. Morning came too bright, too quietly. I heard her footsteps before she entered the room. Soft, cautious, almost guilty. She always walked like that when she wasn't sure how I would react. It used to bother me. Now it just felt like background noise. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice thin. I looked at her. Really looked at her. Not the version of her I used to see, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, but the person standing there now, wearing the same face, but carrying completely different intentions. "No," I said. "But I think you already know that." Her eyes flickered, searching for the right lie to hide behind. She didn't find one. Good. I was done with lies. I stood up slowly and placed the folder on the table. Inside were printed screenshots, call logs, hotel confirmations, and a timeline I'd assembled with the precision of someone who'd lost everything except clarity. She stared at it like it was a bomb. "What is that?" she whispered. though she could already guess. Everything, I said. The truth you thought I wouldn't find. Her face drained of color. She took a step back, then another. I could almost see her mind racing. Denial, excuses, panic, calculation. She was preparing some kind of speech, something rehearsed, something desperate. I didn't let her speak. He didn't love you, I said. You know that, right? She froze. He used you, lied to you, fed you the same lines you fed me. And you fell for it because you wanted to feel something, anything, even if it meant destroying us. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I wasn't angry anymore. That feeling had burnt out days ago. What was left was a strange, heavy acceptance, grief mixed with the final understanding that there was no going back. You could have told me, I continued. You could have said you weren't happy. You could have walked away before everything rotted. But instead, you lied to me. Every day, every night, every touch. A tear slid down her cheek. I'm sorry, she whispered. I shook my head. You're sorry because you got caught. Don't pretend it's something deeper. She flinched like the words had weight. Then came the silence, long, suffocating, final. She looked at me with a mix of loss and fear, as if she finally understood that she had ended something she could never rebuild. What happens now? She finally asked. You leave, I said without hesitation. Today. Her lips trembled. And us? There is no us. There hasn't been for a long time. And that was it. No screaming. No dramatic scene. Just the quiet death of a relationship that had been running on borrowed time. She packed slowly, stopping every few minutes like she needed to breathe through the reality hitting her. I didn't help. I didn't speak. I just watched the life we built collapse one drawer at a time. When she finally stood by the door with her suitcase, she looked smaller than I'd ever seen her. I did love you, she said softly. Once. Yeah, I replied. Once isn't enough. She left. The door clicked shut, and the moment it did, the entire house felt different, heavier at first, then strangely lighter, as if her absence took the chaos with it. I waited 10 minutes before I walked into the bedroom. Her side of the closet was empty. Her perfume no longer lingered in the air. Her toothbrush was gone from the sink. For the first time in months, the silence didn't feel hostile. It felt like space, like the first breath after nearly drowning. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands. They weren't shaking anymore. Maybe because the truth was finally complete. Maybe because the war inside me had ended. Not with victory, not with revenge, but with closure. Pain doesn't disappear just because the person who caused it walks away. But it becomes easier to carry when the truth is no longer hidden. That evening, I opened the windows and let fresh air in. I deleted every file, every message, every piece of evidence I had collected. Not because I forgave her, but because I refused to let the past define what came next. People say betrayal breaks a man. Maybe it does. But sometimes it clears the ground so completely that you have no choice but to rebuild something stronger than before. I don't know what comes after this. I don't know when I'll trust again, or if I even want to. But I know one thing. I survived it. And surviving changes everything. This is the end of her chapter in my life, and the beginning of mine.